Welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a gouache painting in Rebelle. Now escapemotion has added new gouache brushes to Rebelle and we're going to just have some fun with them together in this tutorial. We're going to paint a winter scene. For that you're going to need two files. You can find the links below. One of them is the sketch and the other one is the reference image. I'll talk about the reference image a little bit more later on. We're going to paint together. I'm going to just show you how I paint in Rebelle, how I would set up my painting, set up my canvas, how I would start painting, how I would layer, how I would use some techniques. And yes, I'm going to take you step by step through all of these things and we end up with a complete painting. This will be a full tutorial, so this might take a little while. And if you need to skip parts and you know things already, then yes, please of course do so. And if you want to watch the whole thing and just join me in the whole tutorial, yes, please do so of course too. Well, the best thing we can do is just start painting. I've already started up Rebelle and I'm greeted with this welcome screen where I can choose my paper. What I want to have is an A4 landscape. So an A4 is 29.7 centimeters by 21 centimeters. I want it on 300 dpi. And most likely, often I'm greeted with a 200 dpi, but 200 dpi is not enough for printing. If you plan on printing your images, go for 300 dpi. That's the minimum really. So, and it's set on landscape. I want to have a landscape, as you can see here already. The next thing is what I want to do is add a canvas. So I'm going to add on canvas. By default, it has a simple white here selected. And I think these are the default ones. I've got a lot of other papers installed, which I got through the Rebelle store. Yeah, through the Rebelle store, the escapemotion extra papers. But I'm going to pick one. And we want to have since we're going to do some gouache painting, I'm going to go for hot pressed with deckled image. I like the deckled image. Deckled edges. Make sure it's on. And let's see, I'm going to put the scale of the texture on 100%. That's good. So I've got the HP hot pressed and I'm going to pick that. I'm going to work on some hot pressed paper. The default color is fine with me. Just some white, a whitish, yeah, a white color is good. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to say OK here and it should create that canvas. And there we go. Yeah, I like these deckled edges. That just makes working so much more realistic. All right, well, that's it. That's at least setting up the canvas. That's easy, isn't it? This is the easy part. Now we gotta start painting. Now the first thing we need is this reference sketch, the sketch. You find the link below where you can download it. And of course, I've got it on my computer. So the first thing we're gonna say is File, Import Image, and then I have to find this image. Now it's in my Rebelle folder. I've stored it somewhere there and it's called Cabin Sketch. PNG, point PNG. This is a transparent file. So if we're gonna paint under it, the drawing will stay over it. I'm gonna say okay. It just centers it nicely because this is of course an A4 because I prepared it. I want this sketch on top, but I want to lock it. So I press this little lock button there and there's a lock behind it so that I cannot paint accidentally on it. It's not going to work. There's going to be that little lock there. I'm locked out of this layer. And that's the whole idea. I want to be locked out of this layer. I'm just going to start on the bottom layer. The next thing I'm going to show you is the reference. Now I'm going to very loosely follow the reference. The drawing is made after the reference, but I'm going to just loosely follow the reference, but we're going to end up with a painting and not something like the reference, well, something close to the reference. And for that, the first thing I'm going to do is press this window, say reference images here, then we're greeted with a new screen, and we're going to add this little square with the arrow in it, and I can search for my reference image. Now I know where I stored it on my computer. It's in the same Rebelle folder. Should be here. And I'm going to find that reference image. There it is, cabin reference. I'm going to open it. All right. And now I've got one reference image. You can add a lot of reference images to Rebelle and switch between reference images, but we only have one. So let's press on it, once, move it. I'm going to enlarge it to show it to you. This is my reference image. And this is a 3D scene I made years ago, I think in 2014. So a reference from a 3D scene that was used for animation or something like that. So that has the cabin in it, some trees, some mountains, the moon there, and the lights. And we're gonna create something like this, but not follow it exactly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this small again, put it there, and we're gonna use it as a loose reference. And as you can see, most of it is there, although some of the details are missing, and I moved the mountains a little bit to get the moon in center. So it's slightly different, but that is the reference I'm using. So we've got our canvas set up now. That means we can start painting. So we're going to use the gouache brushes for this. I'm just going to show you how I'm using them. All right, I got to find these gouache brushes. By default, it's on oil and acrylic. We need the watercolors because the gouache is close to watercolor. Then we have the watercolor brushes, and right under it, we have a set of gouache brushes. And let's see, where we're going to start. I'm going to move this reference for now. Since I have the reference offside where you cannot see it, so I can look on it so it's not getting in the way, but you might want to keep the reference there. So I can close these reference images. I don't need them. Now, if I would be using watercolor, I would now set up my masking fluid to make sure that I preserve some of the white. But since I'm doing gouache, I know I can use white on top of everything. But I'm still going to work most likely from light to dark and set it up that way. But I'm not going to worry about the snow. I'll bring that in later, or just use the eraser, which in real life you can do, but we might make use of it. The first thing I'm going to do is the sky. Now for the color, I'm going to use a default set, just the default colors. I'm picking the default colors and I'm going to pick my colors from there. The first thing I want is a light blue color. And I'm picking this light blue color. And I'm going to start painting that. Now it's a night scene, but I'm still going to start with some light colors. I want a wash brush, and that is this one, the gouache wash. I want to put a wash there. I want this to become a lot larger. That is about nice, 70%. And I'm going to add my first layer. I've got the opacity, that is quite low on this one. Let's see. That's good enough. Yes, we're leaving the opacity on 15. I've got my size 70, opacity 15. I've got quite some water on it, and the length, which might not show on yours, is 100. If you have the length set up, then 100. And I've got a choice between paint, and then mix, paint and blend. But I'm going to start with just painting because this is the first layer. And I'm going to just add this light blue as a layer. As you can see, I'm not going to worry too much about what happens right here because I'll paint over right away. That's my first layer. So I'm going to keep this as my first layer. The next thing which I'm going to do, I'm still going to use that wash. I'm going to change to paint and mix. I'm going to mix in the next color. So I've picked a quite light blue color. I'm going to pick a darker color. So the one next to it, a darker color, a darker blue, and I'm going to mix that in. And I let Rebelle do its thing now. It's going to blend this color in nicely for me. There you go. And I want an even darker blue color because we're talking about a night scene. But around the moon, I want to keep that light color. And I'm pressing a little bit here to get a nice dark color in this corner too. And around here, I'm hardly pressing, mixing this color in a little bit. There you go. And that would be around here a little bit. Good enough for me. Now, once you like something, what you can do, the best thing is you go to this part layers. You can stop the engine and you can hit this little button here. You get a menu. And I'm going to say dry the layer. You can wet everything, you can wet the layer, but I want to dry everything on this layer. And there's another button here that can fast dry everything. Then the layer remains wet, but I don't want it to be wet. I want this to be dry now, because the next thing I'm going to do is the moon. So I'm picking a light gray color. So there's 3 colors there, the light gray. I'm going to do the moon. I'm going to add a new layer. So I'm hitting this plus, then we get layer 2. Let's see, I'm going to use the mix, paint and mix option. I still want the bottom color to come through a little bit. I've set my brush on 45 now instead of the 70. The rest is still the same. And I'm going to paint in the light color of the moon. There you go. And now it's going to go outside a little bit because the engine keeps on flowing, but I'm going to use an erase. I still want it to mix a little bit. I'm going to use the white and I'm going to lower the brush size till about 30, and around the edge I'm going to add some white here and mix that in. There you go. And now I'm going to use the darker gray to add some of the darker spots on the moon. And I'm going to let it flow a little bit, going back to that lighter gray and mixing this in very carefully. So I'm not pressing too hard, I'm mixing that in. All right, that is a good moon. Once I'm happy with my moon, except for there's some blue coming through, I'm going to dry it. And I'm going to add some more gray to it to get rid of some of this blue, and I'm going to dry it again. And now I'm going back to the lighter gray and mix that in nicely too. All right, I'm going to dry this. I like my moon this way. Next thing is I'm going to take my eraser, and this is a small eraser. What I have a round soft for the eraser. 40 is good. I want to erase this part. I need to do that a little bit nicely. Might zoom in a little bit. There you go. And my computer is getting really warm. It's got to do a lot of work. There you go. Good. And there's the moon. A little bit there. Now we need a little bit of a halo around it. So what I'm going to do under the moon, I'm going to add a new layer. And once I add a new layer, there you go, the old layer dries. I'm going to use that white and I'm going to go under it with the brush, the same brush I'm using still, and softly I'm painting under it. So I'm not pressing too hard, really softly create a little bit of this halo around it. There you go. Good. And I might move this layer. Let's see. I like it this way. Yes, I do. So I'm going to dry it. Let's see if I can move it above there. And what happens then? Nothing, because you need to put it above there. There you go. Oh yeah, I like that too. Good. But I want to blend this in a little bit. So I'm now moving the layer on top of layer 2. I'm now going to use this function here, the blend. A soft, noisy blend. That's good enough, I think. But a little bit, set that size a little bit higher and move the opacity to about around 50% opacity, 45 size. I just want to blend this into the moon a little bit, and I want to blend this a little bit into the sky. There you go, and that's our moon. Oh, I like that, and that's good. All right, let's dry everything, make sure we keep what we have. Center this whole thing, and there we go. We've got a moon, we've got a sky. I might do some black into the sky, go back to that original layer, and add a very dark blue or a black. Do I have a very dark blue? There you go. Down here, a very dark blue. See, a nice dark blue. I want to mix that into the sky a little bit with the same wash brush, because it's not dark enough. Definitely not. Same wash. I might do, the opacity is good. I might add slightly less water, around 35%. The size we can move up again till 45. And I'm going to add at some of these points and around there too, add some of this dark color. There you go. And now a bit more careful around here, so that I preserve still some of that light color. And around this edge here, really dark there. Let's go nice and dark around here. Blend this in, and I'm letting it flow a little bit so that it blends in nicely with the other parts. And at the moment I like it, and I think I like it, I'm going to say dry the layer. That's better. Now we've got a nicer, darker color, except for here. Let's add softly, so I'm not pressing too hard, very softly. I'm going to add a little bit, let it work for a little while, and now I'm going to say stop and blend this in. All right, I like my sky like this. Now the one thing which I'm going to do now is I'm going to erase some of the sky on the mountain. There you go. Now you could set up a mask for all of this, but erasing goes just as quickly, doesn't it? It doesn't need to be perfect. Okay. And I think I'm okay with this. And that's our first part. We've got a sky. Next part, we're going to move to the mountains behind the cabin, behind the trees. I'm going to work from, as you can see, probably from the back and work my way forward. Although I might change at some point, go forward and then go back. But for now, we're starting at the back and moving forward. I need a new layer above all of these. I could actually merge these layers if I'm happy with this, but I think I'll keep them like this. I'm going to just add a new layer. You could also rename the layers, give them a name. Sky, moon, mountains, everything. We're going to move to the mountains. The mountains, I'm going to do about the same colors. Some blue mountains in the back because it's dark colors, and some light blue, some dark blue. We're going to start again with a light blue, but not the same light blue we had. I'm going to go for this light blue here. Where is it? Somewhere in the middle. There you go, under the green, there's a light blue. I'm going to use that one. And let's see, do I want to wash for this or do I want a round brush? I think I'm going to still stick to the wash for this one. Ah, that's a nice blue. And I didn't change the settings, although it's less watery. I think that is good. Some blue here behind the tree. All right, behind the cabin a little bit, let's see, there's some mountain here. There's some mountain back there. Is there some mountain back here? There you go. I think I got every part. Now I'm going to zoom in and make sure I get everything right. I'm going to lower the size a little bit. I'm going to go to 35 again. And I'm going to do another layer of this same color, making sure I'm painting this in a little bit better than I have. And as you can see, I'm quite sloppy with my strokes, because later on it will blend in anyway. This keeps on blending as long as I don't stop it. And around here. There you go. Okay, I want to see what I'm doing. Add some of that color right there. Make this darker too. And as you can see, with each layer I'm putting on it, it gets a darker tone because I'm actually layering. Okay, and now with the next strokes, which I'm doing, as you can see, I want to follow the contour of the mountains. Right there too. Good. And those are my first mountain, my first layer of the mountains. Okay, I'm not stopping the process that's going on now. The only thing which I'm going to hide is my sketch for a little bit so that I can see what I'm doing, and that is looking good. And later on there will be some white on here, so I'm okay with those edges. Okay, the next thing is I'm going to pick a darker blue, this blue next to it. And with the same brush, what I'm going to do is, now I'm going to lower the brush size. So I'm lowering my brush size to 25 now. The next thing is on the mountains, what I'm going to do, on the dark, there's a light side here. This is the light edge, and then there's a dark side there. This would be a light edge again. So the dark edges, what I'm going to do, around the dark edges, I'm going to add some darker color to it. And I want to preserve that light edge a little bit. There you go. And now I might actually dry this because I don't want this to spill in there. Doing the same with this one. This is a darker edge. And now I'm trying to follow a little bit the contour of the mountain. And I'm hardly pressing for this one. Up there a little bit more, and around this edge slightly more, and a little bit, some few strokes there. And I'm going to dry this right away because I don't want it to spill into the next one. Let's see, there's the tree here. There is a little bit of dark color right there. And I'm going to blend this in here a little bit better. Okay, let's dry this too. And move to the opposite side. I'm going to work on these now. So painting this in. A nice thicker layer there, and then I'm going to do hardly any pressure. There you go. Nice. And let's dry this too. And now I need a smaller brush to get to this side. I'm using 18IC. And let's paint that in a little bit. There you go. Okay, and let's dry this right away. And then paint in the last part, bit there, and blend this in just a little bit. So I'm hardly pressing, I'm letting the graffiti do its work really. I'm not pressing anything. There you go. And let's dry this, and there we go. And we're getting some nice mountains this way. Now I'm gonna get a larger size again, around 25 I had, so let's do that. And let's do this edge, let's see, around here. And probably you've noticed by now, I'm just using this sketch as a loose reference for this. Might do a little bit darker around that edge, and I want to blend this in by hardly pressing. There you go. Let it flow for a little while, let it blend in a little bit. around this edge. We need a little bit more, hardly pressing for that. Okay, and I'm going to stop this. I like this. No more of this, please. Now, it's probably one thing you notice if you have worked with gouache, that the gouache in Rebelle is quite wet. It is really wet. It is very close to watercolor. Perhaps a little bit too close. If you're a designer and working with gouache, this is way too wet. And even if you put down the water to a minimum, it's still quite wet. All right, let's see. I'm gonna do this side here. So that might be a recommendation to Rebelle of escapemotion to make the Rebelle gouache a little bit less fluid than it is now. And that also, of course, depends on the brands of gouache you're using. Some of them are quite fluid, but most of the designer gouache are a little bit more opaque and less fluid than this. Oh, I like this. Go stop that. Dry it. Let's see. We need some here too. This is a mountain here too. So behind here, we're going to do the darker color, but not as much on the edge, but really there we need a darker color too. All right, good. Here I want quite dark, and I'm blending this in and let this flow a little bit. And this behind here, I need quite dark. Good. Might want to add a little bit of this angled strokes too. Good. And that's it. And let's hide the sketch. Gone. So now I've got mountains. I've got my sky, my mountains. Later on we're going to work a little bit more on this. And we've got our first basic setup. And then, well, I can work with this. So there we have our next step. We've got a sky now, we've got some mountains, although we may do some details on them later on, work a little bit, see how they fit in with the rest. But for now, we're moving on to the next step. I think that will be the trees. All right, and that will be indeed the trees for the next step. For the trees, I'm not going to use the same brush. I'm going to change brushes. This is not a wash. I'm going to go to the Gouache bristle brush. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to find myself a light green. The edges will be quite light because there's shining light on them. The rest will be a lot darker on the trees. So I'm trying to get quite dark trees to get this evening night effect. First of all, I'm going to add a new layer. And there you go, new layer. I've got this bristle. Let's see if the size is okay. I've got the light green. There you go. And I'm going to start on this side, on this tree. The size is fine. And I'm going to add these kind of strokes around the edge. I'm going to do that basically again to get this nice light color. The next thing is I'm going to find myself a darker green that is right next to it. And I'm going to go in this direction to give the idea a little bit that we're talking about a pine tree. I'm going with this quite roughly and loosely. There you go, around there a little bit. I want to find myself an even darker green, that one. Nice, good. I'm just going to add these loose strokes to it. I'm building up my layers slowly but surely. At the edge, I'm a bit more careful. Let me hide the sketch for a minute. There you go. Ah, good. Yeah, that looks good. But I need some more dark color around that edge. And I keep on going. And down here, let me bring back the sketch so that I know where I'm supposed to have some dark. There you go. Oh, I like that. That would be a good color for the day. But we just need a color for the night. So what we're going to do next is we're going to mix in some dark blue. Let's see if this is a good dark blue. This is a good dark blue for that. And bring in those strokes the same direction. And make it nice and dark. And around the edge, a little bit more careful. I'm not pressing that hard anymore. There we go. Let's remove the sketch. I like this. I gotta dry this. Dry the layer before something else happens. I want this slightly darker. I've dried the layer, so I'm gonna add a really dark color around the edge here. And carefully I'm gonna add a little bit of dark blue there too. And there you go. I'm going to dry this, and this tree I think is good like this. All right, I might do the same at these trees here. I'm going to zoom in for that a little bit so that I know what I'm doing. I'm going to definitely lower the brush size. Let's see, for the little tree, let's start with this tree, then this tree, and this is behind. So this is the first tree. Then we're going to do this tree, and over that comes this tree. I have my brush size on 50, the opacity is 60, that's okay. Water is 30, I like that water, and the length is 100%. I'm going back to that first green, but now I'm going to of course go from the other side, and start with that light layer here, although this should be pretty darker of course, but let's add in a little bit of light. Then go to this tree here, add some light, and this one will have some light green too, especially on the top. There you go, and that is good. All right, there's our first layer of green. We might do a little bit on the top here too. Good. The next green, which was next to it, I'm gonna move in there. And with this one, I need actually to go the other side, since this is the middle. So from this side, I need some strokes going this way. And from the other side, around the middle here, I'm gonna need my strokes going like that. And there we go. Good. Now I'm going to do the little tree here, which is an evergreen bush. So I'm going to make more of a circular motion to not get that same effect as here, but a little bit different. And for this, I'm going to do, this is going to be a pine tree again. So on this side, here's the middle. On this side, I need my strokes to go this way, and on this side I need them to go this way. Go a little bit more to the middle. All right. Might add a line in the middle so that I know where I'm going. And from there, go each side. All right, good. A little bit more around the edge. And definitely some more there. Okay. There's a pool of water there. I don't want that. Let's get rid of that. Should have probably dried it in between. See, and that's the thing with gouache. That just wouldn't happen with gouache. With watercolor, yes, but even with watercolor, at some point it dries. It doesn't keep on going, and I think the Rebelle engine basically just, let me dry this before it gets out of hand, just keeps on going and keeps on going, while in real life, at some point, it is dry. Okay, I need the next green. That was this one. I'm just moving up in this line. Let's see, I'm gonna go for this tree first. Start at the edges, there you go. And go for this one here. Might blend in a little bit there. There you go. Okay, let's try this. Now around here I'm gonna lower my brush size, definitely. I'm now on 35%. And this I'm gonna move in that circular motion a little bit at the bottom too. And there you go. All right, I like that. Let's dry it and let's move to the next tree. I'm gonna go for 50% again, brush size. And I'm gonna do this guy here. There you go. Okay, now let's take a look at this. A little bit there. Dry this, hide the sketch, and I've got that. Let me see the whole thing. There you go. Now I've got this. This is, of course, needs a lot to be a lot darker. Let me zoom in again on this part. That's too much, I think. I need to see everything. And a darker green. We've got this green. Let's go for, let's see how dark. Down here, there's some dark green there. So I'm going to go for a really dark green on these trees. Let's start with this little one here. And bring back the sketch for now. There you go. Add some really dark green around this edge here. So we get a nice difference between this tree here and that tree. I'm drying it. I'm going to do the same here. Around the edge here, I'm going to add some darker green. I'm still following the same angle for this one. And there you go. And let me dry that. There we go. Now we get a nice edge here. And I'm gonna get my 50 back. And I'm gonna add some dark color here too. But I'm not pressing that hard. So light strokes. There you go. Blend this in a little bit. Okay, good. I'm gonna dry this. Nice. I'm not gonna use that same color on this tree. I want a bit of differentiation between the trees. So I'm gonna go for a really dark green now. And I'm gonna add that to this one. That is good. And around this side too. And some strokes here and there. Good. I like that. Let's try that. dry the layer. Good. Now I'm going back to that darker blue. That was this blue here. Let's see, or do I want a green now? Let's give this a try. And I'm gonna add some of it on this tree. On the bottom too, to get some nice dark color in here too. But a different dark color as I have on there, on the tree that is behind it. And that's the whole idea, to see the difference between the trees. Okay, I gotta hide the sketch now. I may want to dry this first. No, hide the sketch, dry it. There we go, that looks good. All right, good. Might want to have some of that darker green, really dark green around this edge. Lower the brush and give this around here a little bit of the dark color so that we get the idea. That's a different tree. Okay, and dry this. Now I've gone too dark there, so I'm going back to a lighter green and add that in. Just a little bit. Get a nicer tone. There you go, that's nice. Dry. Okay, around this edge we want to have a bit of a shadow too. So I'm going to that very dark green again. And with the shorter strokes we're going to add a little bit of the idea of an edge around here. There you go. Go a little bit into this tree. And now I'm going to blend it in carefully. Okay, I'm going to stop this, dry this. I'm going to go back to a very light green and I'm going to push some light green in here to get a little bit of a lighter, different edge than I had before. There you go. Okay, let's try this before this gets out of hand. And there we go. We've got a part here. Now this part I don't like. We're going to solve that. Well, let's do that right away. And the rest I think I'm okay with. Nice dark tones, some light tones. This may need some darker tones here. I'm going to zoom in, move that away. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new layer above this. I'm going back to a little bit of a mid-tone. And I'm going to add that around this edge just a little bit. There you go, that is better. Now I can give this tree a little bit of a nicer shape than what it has. I still got my paint on paint and blend. I like this. Might have set it on paint instead. All right, and I'm going to merge this layer with the other layer. So that is, let's see, where's this one here, this bottom. Merge layers, I cut that top layer, I'm merging it down. And now all the trees are again on one layer. So now I've got some leaves, some needles. Now I want to work on the trunk of the tree. Yes, because that's missing. Now these things are floating in the air. We can't have that. The trunks go behind the leaves. So I'm going to add a new layer below the leaves. There you go. These are going to be the trunks. Now for the trunks, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, bring my sketch. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the engine. I don't want this to flow everywhere. I want some control. And that's the nice thing about this. I'm just going to have total control and make sure these colors stay wherever I want them to stay. I think I'm still fine with that same brush. I'm going to keep that same brush, though I want some different colors. I'm starting with this light brown color, and I'm gonna, let's see, how about the size? What do I have for size? 30? Oh yeah, I'm fine with that 30 size, that's good. And I'm gonna add my strokes, and I want these strokes to be nice, almost dry strokes. There you go. And for this one, I need definitely a smaller brush, but let's move over to the other one. That one you don't see, and later on we do this tree. That will be on front of everything. Oh, and I don't want that. I need to hold the button to slide back. All right, I'm gonna lower the brush. It's on 20% now, and 20% should be fine for this tree, although I might go even one lower. 15, 18? No, I want 15. 16 is good. Yeah, that's for this one. And there you go. Now that is very light. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add in a bit of a darker color. And I'm going to a much darker brown. And as you can see, I'm creating just a little bit of a tree. And by not letting the strokes flow, I have a little bit of control over that. Then it looks like bark a little bit. Careful around the edge, and here I'm pressing a bit harder to get a nice dark line. Now for this I need to go a lot smaller. And there you go. Let's hide the sketch for a moment. There you go, that looks good. All right, I'm gonna go with this. And now I can see what I missed. And I want this side to be nice and dark. The bottom too. And this I'm fine with. Same here, I want this to be nice and dark. And around this edge, I want it to be slightly darker. Okay. There you go. Good. And I'm going to dry this, because once I unpause the engine, it would start flowing into each other, and I don't want that. And take a look at that. See, that looks a lot. No, I'm not going to say it looks a lot better. That looks good. Now, let's go for the woodwork. Let's see. And that is, where is my drawing? We're going to go for the woodwork first. Then we're going to do these bushes. And the last thing we do is the house. And we're going to do these things, of course. But let's do the fence first. The fence is behind and in front. I thought that's going to be interesting. Here it is behind. Here it is in front. So we're going to do this in two parts. Let's see. We're going to start on this side. I'm going to add a layer that is in front of this tree. So I'm going to add that in front of the tree. Which color do I want for this? I'm going to start with this color here. With ochre color. Yeah. And let's see. I'm going to do exactly the same again. I'm going to pause the engine. And if you pause it, you get this pause button there. Because I want this to be woodwork and I don't want this to go everywhere. Am I going to use these small brush? Yeah, I'm going to use that small brush. And I'm going to use this color. Well, this is good. And then by using small brush, you get the idea of wood right away. Yeah, I like that. Might zoom in a little bit. I don't need this, of course. This is going to be snow up there. There you go. Loose, quick strokes. And there we go. Now the white at this moment doesn't matter. What we're going to do in a minute is we're going to put a layer behind that with a different color. So we're not going to worry about that everything is covered. We just want these strokes to turn up as if we got some wood boards here. All right. I think that might be the first one. Let's move it to this side. Now this side I will need a layer. Under the, I'm going to go under the trunks too. So under the trunks of the tree I'm adding a new layer, and I'm going to do exactly the same on this layer. And that goes behind the foliage. So that should be fine then. All right. That one a bit higher. There we go. And this pole we need still. All right, good. Now under that I'm going to add a new layer, and that should automatically dry this layer. I don't think I've added a layer. Now I have a new layer. And let's see. We're going to use a different color for this. Not much choice in the browns. Let's see what happens if we put a brown under it. And I want a different brush for this. I'm just going for a regular round brush. And I'm going to paint this in. And that should work nicely. Undo, get rid of it. Too large brush. There you go, that's better. And I'm still, I might unpause the engine and let it blend. Now this color. There you go. Now, in real life, we could actually not do this. A color under a color. These two wouldn't really mix with each other, so I would have started the other way around. Get that dark color under it, and then get that light color under it. I gotta have a small brush to make sure I'm painting this in nicely too. I'm on 18 now. Okay, good. Let's go back to a larger size. What's that? Around 35. Really add some color here. Now we get these nice strokes. All right, good. And under here we can just stay on the same layer. Add the first layer of color under here. Do it right there too. Just keep on going. Under here a little bit. And right there. And now add the second layer. A darker color. Perhaps I should have dried this. Going to a small brush. 18 again. To really get this nice. And this one, I need that too. Add some color here and there. Am I at the edge? No, I'm not at the edge yet. Oh, this is now under the foliage, of course. Right, that is not good, huh? That should not be under it. Okay. Well, we're going to use an eraser then. Might do some behind here. There you go. Try this. Let's take a look at it. Ah, that looks good. Right, I'm going to do some erasing here. I'm going to take the eraser, go to this tree. Since I'm now painting behind it, I might as well remove where it shouldn't be and add. We're going to add white later on, but I don't want it to be on there. All right, well, let me save this because I haven't done that yet. What am I going to call this? Winter Cabin and Gouache. Winter Cabin Gouache. Let's call it like that. I should have saved it way earlier, shouldn't I? Have totally forgot about it. So caught up in painting that I forgot to save. But good thing is about Rebelle, it saves automatically. So if there would be a crash and you open Rebelle again, then you get the notice, hey, there's a file, an old file, do you want to open it? And then it's best to say yes. All right, well, save now under a name, so I can continue with the foliage, or let's do some more work on the wood. Do some more work on the woodwork, let's see. But now I can't see that these are wood boards. This is all a little bit blurry, so I gotta do something about that. I'm bringing back the sketch, and let's see, I need above this layer where I've painted, I'm going to add a new layer. So above on this side, yeah, really above where I've painted this in, I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to make sure I'm adding some lines. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a dark blue color. This is a nice dark blue. This layer I'm going to change. I'm going to say you're going to be a multiply, and with multiply that means I'm going to add the color, darken it, what is under it, preserve what is under it, but add a color and blend, mix it in a little bit in a darker color. I'm going to keep that same round brush I've got. Yeah. I'm going to make it small. How small do I want? I have the round brush, Gouache round brush, and it's on 12%. The opacity goes, no, I go about 60%. I would say 60. Water, I'm okay with 15. I'm not sure if I wanted to blend in. We'll see what happens. And the water is on 15, around 60% opacity. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some lines around there. I've got multiply on it, yes. That's probably way too dark. but we can solve that. Around there is a shadow line too. So basically I'm adding some shadow lines. There's 1, 2 there. So that those wood boards become actually wood boards. And back here too. If I'm imagining the light coming from this side, then on the back of the pole there would be some shadow. Okay, there we go. Let's take the sketch away. See, and now we're getting the idea that we've got some wood boards. Let's zoom in a little bit again. Bring back the sketch, because under the snow I want to do the same. Right, and I'll probably want a little bit less opacity. 12%, let's see what happens. That's nice. Around 12%, that really blends in nicely. There you go. We're painting this in. A bit of shadow around here. Good. Okay, that's good. Let's dry this. Move this under here. We need some shadow still. And a little bit around there on the pole itself. Under here some shadow and a little bit on the pole itself, and by using some more opacity we're getting a different color than on there, and that's good. All right, good. Let's try this. Let's hide the sketch. Let's see where we're getting at. All right, want some more around there. Good. And we're getting there. That's the wrong button. That's too small now. And so there you go. That looks right away a lot better. And then we need to do that part. Can we go, let's see, we're gonna find that wood. That is this one here. On top of that, I'm gonna add a new layer. I'm gonna do the same, make it a multiply layer, and I wanna zoom in here. And I'm gonna do exactly the same right here. All right, and now let's hide the sketch and let's move this, and there we go. That looks a lot better. All right, now what I do think is this is slightly too light, so I might want to add some dark color into it. I'm going to go to that light layer, zoom in and start at this one. I'm going to get myself a dark brown. Oh, there's a nice dark brown there. I'm going to take a different brush. I'm going to get that gouache dry brush, and that should give me a whole different effect. But I don't want it this large. Let's go for 50%. Yes, and I'm going to add this dark color to the woodwork. With a nice and dry brush. Oh, and the settings on here, let me pause the engine for a minute. The size is 45, the opacity is 14. I've got 74 water. That's quite some water, but I'm gonna let it blend in. And then the length is on 100. And now I'm gonna unpause it again and let it in. Blend this in, let it blend in. I'm actually gonna do second layer, get a nicer, darker tone on this. I like this, this is better, good. That makes it look way more like wood. Let me try this. And now let me find the other side. There we go. And that is on this layer, layer 8. And I'm going to do the same here. Mix in this darker color with the dry brush. And I can erase that part later on. I'm going to move here. There we go. I like this. Okay, on this side it is good, so let's dry it. On this side, I need to do it definitely a second time to get more of that wood effect. There you go, and let's dry this. There you go. Now I'm going to erase this. There you go, good. This I'm going to leave. And let me look at the whole thing now. That looks a lot better. All right, good. Now the one thing you might say, well, these shadows are way too strong, and yes, I do agree, but that is very easy. We go to this layer where it is multiply layer where the shadow is on, and we can just move it. Now it's gone, and bring it to where it is really shadow on around 44%. Yep, that looks good. And the other multiply layer is right there, layer 12, and let's move that 40%. I can't see it because my finger is in the way. Around 40%, and that looks a lot better. Now we've got a nice shadow. And once we add the white to it, then you're really gonna see the interesting contrast. Okay, I like it this way. What is next is the grass. The grass, the bushes, well, it's really grass, but we're gonna make bushes of them to make it easy. Clumps of grass, something like that. Yeah, that sounds a little bit fake, huh? Yeah, well, okay, let's do something fake then. All right, something fake. We'll bring back the sketch. Now above everything, oh no, that is not the sketch. That is hiding my trunks. There you go. Bring back the sketch. Right under the sketch, we're gonna add these bushes. They're really in the front. I'm gonna pick a nice green for that. Down here on this bottom line, there's some greens. I'm gonna start with the lightest green. I'm gonna stick to this dry brush, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually pause the engine for this, and I want this to be really some dry brush work. And there's two layers, of course. There's a layer behind it here, and there's a layer in front. Let's see, now that we have this layer, we're going to start with in front. I'm still on the dry brush. It is still on that 45%. That might be too much. Let's go for a 30%. We're going for a nice opacity. Actually going to clear this layer. If you want to clear a layer, you say, okay, I've done something that's wrong. I need to get rid of everything, but want to keep the layer. You just press this X and then everything is gone. 100%. I'm going to give it less water, around 50%. And I'm going to go I'm going to paint and mix. Let's keep this on the paint. It's still on the paint and mix. There you go. I'm going to add the first layer. And I'm going to do this quite roughly because we're going to mix in some colors here. And even if we have a lot of white in here, actually that wouldn't matter at all because there's snow. Then there would be snow on it. So that's totally okay if that happens. There's one there. And there we have some bushes there. These, let's see, these are behind, so we're not going to do those. And there we go. That's a large one here. Okay, and while I keep on going, I had some questions about what I'm using actually, tablet. This is the Ueon Canvas 16, the 2021 version. So simple, not the most expensive one, but it works really nicely. And I like it because it has these buttons there which you can set up the way you like it. So I got it, as you can see, zoom in, zoom out, undo is on here, and then the brush sizes I can change. And you see me press this button. That means I can move around the canvas wherever I like, and you can set this up for every program independently, and that is a really nice one. Ueon has some, actually some pretty good, decent pen displays. And this is just the regular version, and it's the 2021 because it has the new pen, and that is a lot more accurate than the older one I used before. And the one thing I changed is I've got different nibs. I got felt nibs on it, and that's why you don't, otherwise you hear this tapping. If I pick my Apple Pencil, that's what you would hear the whole time. And with this one, it's more like a pencil, and it feels like a pencil, and I like it that way. All right, that's the first layer of these. And let's see, let's add a nice dark color to it, that one. And that's on the edges, and I'm going to take a smaller size for this. I'm now going to around 20, and what I'm going to do is around these edges where these bushes like here, I can see a clear line. I'm going to add this and a little bit on the bottom. Around here I'm going to do actually the same at this edge. I might do that just to get a little bit contrast in here. There's some there. There you go. And at this end I might just do that. Here's a bush behind it. Let's go for dark with this one, and then some on the bottom here. All right, around here too there's a new bush here, so there you go. There's one there. Behind here there's one, and there is one there. And there you go. This is one pretty large one. I don't think I'm gonna break it up. There you go. But do some at the bottom here. There's a new one there. Okay, good. Let's see if I can get a really different color in it. It's more of an olive color. Right, I like that. Let's blend in some of this. Just to get some tones in it. All right, good. So I'm going to keep some of that white, definitely. Oh, there you go. Okay, let's hide the sketch for now. Let's take a look at that. That is good. Oh, now I swapped it around again. There you go, good. Yeah, some of the white in it so that you get the snow idea. That's good. Now I need to do these back ones. Right, the ones at the back, where we're going to go above the mountain. So these are the mountains. So I need a layer above the mountains. There you go. And I'm going to go back to that first green color I had. Although these, we need something larger. No, not larger, something darker, but I'm going to start with that same color. Oh, I need my sketch back, otherwise I have no clue where I'm going. There you go. That's better. And these go right there. Hopefully in front of this. Yes, that works. Well, let's add some there right away. Okay. Then we're needing these ones, but with a larger brush, please. There you go. And that's it. We need some color back there too, but we're going to do that later on. Okay, back to that darker color that was next to it. This one. Try to bring in some contrast here too. So down at this bottom and at the end, there would be some contrast here too. Okay, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually blend in a very dark color, some blue, one of the darker blues, to really show that these are in the back. And not on front of everything. There you go. See, and now you get a nice contrast between all of the elements we have. All right, and might actually do that around there a little bit too. Let's hide the cabin sketch for now again. Let's look at everything. See, and now you get the idea. There's bushes back there, there's bushes back there. The only thing now, we need the ground, which we could leave white, but this is too white. So we're going to do a light color there. Let's go for that olive color, I think. And under here, so under the bushes we've just created, we need then a new layer. And I'm going to go for this color, bit larger brush. There you go. I need my sketch back to see actually. No, that's not my sketch, isn't it? To see what I'm doing, where I'm going. Right. Then I can do this too. Also some strokes there, loose strokes, so that we have the idea that there is still snow there, but still something on the ground. There you go. Good. And that's it for that. See, now we're getting some nice effect. All right, good. I'm going to save it. Well, and that's that part. We're getting there. We're really getting it. We only need a cabin now, and we need those lights, and then we need to check what else we're going to add, what else we're going to change. Add that snow, of course, to get the final look on this. All right, let's go for the cabin. The cabin. Well, the cabin goes obviously right there. There is no doubt about it. The cabin is behind pretty much everything, but on top of the mountains. So I'm selecting the mountain. I'm adding now a layer. And what I'm going to do with this, I'm actually not going to paint the snow. Well, not as much as... Actually, I want to erase this. I want to make sure I don't have to paint the snow. I'm only going to paint the cabin, but I'm going to start with the woodwork. Well, while I'm on the mountains, I might start erasing. And definitely need a larger brush for that. So I'm going to erase everything where the cabin goes. And later on, we're going to add some snow effect. And I might just remove that too. but now I see I need some mountain there. I'm gonna go back to a quite dark blue. And let's see, we had that wash for that. Let's add that color here first. Let's add a little bit there too. Get this slightly darker. Good. I'm letting it blend for a little while. And I think I'm okay with this. Dry it. And I'm going back to my eraser. Don't want it on the cabin. And definitely not on that snow here. And here we're gonna have those bushes. Yeah, that's good. All right. Let's see, do I erase most of it? Yeah. All right. Lower my brush size. Want it to go big on here too. And a little bit here too. All right, corrected that. The rest is pretty okay. Good, now I can work on the cabin. The cabin is there. First of all, I'm going to start on the cabin wood. I'm going to make it myself really easy. I'm going to just use one color for the cabin wood. I'm going to go for this brown. I'm zooming in. That is not zooming in. That is moving. And I'm going to use a round brush for that, round 2. I'm going to lower the size definitely. Around 18, 16. And I'm going to just test that. It's on 16 is the size, 50 is the opacity, 40 is the water, 100 is the length. And I think I'm pretty much okay with that. But I want the opacity to go lower. So now I'm using one of the buttons so I don't have to reach for my keyboard. Let's see, opacity goes on 31 and I'm going to do a little bit less water. 25% water, and let's go with 25% opacity too. And the size is okay. Yeah, and I like this opacity. That is better. Good. And I'm going to just do the woodwork in it. Good. All right, and for this I'm going to need a really small brush, 10. Good, and I'm going back to that 16 size. And go to the next one. And on purpose I'm lifting my brush for this a lot so that I can get a lot of texture in this. Good. All right. Let's add a little bit more there. Let's hide the sketch for a moment. There you go. Good. Now I can see that I need a little bit there, a little bit up there, and I missed somehow that whole part. And I really don't mind if this is, as it is, pretty rough. Good. I actually like that. I'm going to dry this, and I missed that line. I'm going back to the 10. Now that line should be there well enough. Let's hide the cabin. There you go. Let's connect this a little bit better. There you go. This one too, a bit nicer than it is. All right. bit there. Okay. Dry the layer and move on to the next one. Let's see the woodwork here. Okay, let's dry this. And so there we go. Hide the cabin. Sorry, hide the cabin, hide the sketch, and check the cabin. There we go. Looking interesting. Good. And there's the lights. Now, I only need a layer behind here. And we're going to do the cabin itself. But before I'm going to do that, I'm going to swap my nib, because I think it's all worn down. What I'm going to do with this, I'm going to just add a flat layer, and on that I'm going to add some texture effects. So we're going to do that. So I've got this layer. I need a right color. Let's see, what color do I need? Yeah, so I'm going to pick the light gray, the same I used on the moon. I'm just picking a filbert brush. That's good. Yeah, I'm just going to paint this roughly like this wherever the woodwork is, sorry, the cabin is supposed to go. Oh, I missed some woodwork here. And as you can see, I'm now not really worrying where I'm going. I'm gonna just use the eraser to get rid of wherever it shouldn't go. I missed this whole part for the wood. Let me dry this. Let me get the eraser. And the next thing, what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to move this over. I'm going to erase a little bit, and I'm going to just add a layer above it. I'm going to, I think it's the right mouse button, click on that, and I'm going to say clipping mask. I'm going to use a clipping mask for my texture on here. So I've got a nice uniform layer under here. I can just use that to paint something on top of it, and it only goes on top where it needs to go. The only thing I'm seeing here, I need to erase that color here, otherwise that goes wrong too. Make sure we got everything nice and neat, and get back to my brush. I don't want that strong. I want a smaller brush, and a little bit here. There you go. And I want this to be definitely slightly darker until around there. Here too, a little bit of shadow around there too. Some shadow around there. Now let's add some here too. Good. All right, some more here. Make this a bit darker part. Good. Let's see, erase a little bit there still again. I think I'm fine there, a little bit there. Let's dry this. We've got this now, so now I can go to the clipping mask. Let's see, we're gonna go to the brushes. I'm gonna use a different brush, not a gouache brush. But I'm going to go to the splatter brushes of the watercolor. I'm going to pick one of these splatter brushes. I'm going to pick a different color. Now it's grayish. I want some greenish on this, so a light green color like this. Let's see what happens. That might be too green, so I'm going to clear that layer again. Here, this color next to that very bright green. Yeah, I like that a bit better, but still not perfect. That kind of good work. And now the nice thing about this clipping mask is, as you may have seen my other video about it, it only paints under there, on what I've painted before. This color, what is this? Oh yeah, that is good. Bit bluish. Nice, good. Under there a little bit. Now we get some texture in the wood. We're gonna take a nice dark gray. That is too strong. Try the middle gray. Oh, that is better. Add some texture on the walls. There you go. I like that. Down here a little bit. Good. And down there a bit more. Okay, I'm gonna dry this, otherwise these splatters keep on going. I think I do like this, and let's see what we have now. Let's look at the whole scene, and now we're getting a cabin. Now we're getting there. We've got already the snow on it. Got some nice splatters now on the house, some nice texture on the house. Just need to do the stairs. Okay, let's go for the stairs now. Let's see. The stairs go actually above. There you go. And I'm gonna go for a dark gray on this dark gray I have on the stairs. I need to bring back my sketch, and I'm gonna work on the stairs, but I don't want this splatter brush anymore. I'm going back to the round brush. That's way too small, that round brush. And let's paint the stairs. Okay, good. All right. Okay, a bit on this side still. There you go. I'm gonna dry this. The next thing which I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that very dark gray. I'm gonna choose the liner, gouache liner. Now that's way too large. Let's go for 8 or 6, 7. I might, the cabin sketch, lower the opacity so that I can see what's happening with this brush. Now I gotta find that layer back again. That is this layer. Right, that is good. Now I see what happens with the liner. I'm bringing in some lines of the stones, the mortar. And let's even add the edge a little bit here too. And up here. And even let's do at the bottom a little bit. Okay. And let's add a little bit of a shadow line down here too. Okay, good. And there you go. I just want that light color. Well, that mid color here a little bit better. There you go. Now we're talking. Okay, good. Let's take a look at this. Try this first. And there we go. Now we obviously have some stairs. All right, we're getting there. Yes, indeed, we're getting there. The next step would be the lights. Let's go for the lights. Where do we need lights? We do need lights on the cabin, under the cabin. We'll start with that. I'm gonna give that some nice yellow color. I'm gonna go for just a regular round brush here. Larger, please. I've got a round brush, and let's test that. That is a good round brush. That is a nice yellow color under it. And I'm going even under the woodwork with this. That would work nicely. It's the size is 35, the opacity is 10. That's good. The water is 15. That's from a previous settings probably. Ah, I see a mistake there. Good. Now we're adding the light inside of the house. I think this is nice, not too strong. Okay, good. Now that looks good. I'm going back to the layer above it, the house. I need to erase something here. I've noticed that is not good. Same here. A little bit. There you go. And the rest I'm okay with. Good. And let me find that woodwork. There you go. That's the woodwork. And I need to add this bit here. I had that brown for that. I'm not sure which brush I had, but I think this round brush might just work. Okay. That would work for this. We're still having the same round brush. It's on the same settings. I'm not changing anything. And I want to paint in this wood here. I might go lower though in a minute. There you go. And I'm going to lower the size. What is it? 16%. Let's paint this in. There you go. And now let's do this better. Under the snow, we're getting some shadow in a minute. And let's add some texture to it by doing some loose lines. Oh wait, gotta unpause the engine. I want this to flow a little bit and mix. I might add some of this to this wood too. Let's darken this part under here and that part. Add that shadow effect. There you go. Dry it. And I'll keep on going with this wood. I want this to be slightly better than I have it. Okay, good. Then I need to go to this one too and alter this a little bit. All right, good. There's some missing there. Let's do some shadow here too right away. Okay, good. And let's add a little bit of texture going in this arch. Okay, let's see. There you go. Good. Still want this one tone darker. Let's dry this. Oh, that's not drying it. Good. Now we've got that part too. While I'm at it, at this layer, let me add the doorknob there. That's missing just a dark. Good. Oh, let's dry this before this all spreads out totally wrong. Okay, let's get a liner for this, the gouache liner again. And let's add some nice lines around it. Pause the engine. That is quite dark, but quite large, but okay. All right, now we need to do these light bulbs, but before I'm going to do that, I want to have some light effect while I'm here. I'm going to add a layer above that. I'm going to say multiply again. I'm going to keep that dark brown color, and I want to add with the liner some lines, as you can see here, some shadow lines. And the engine is on pause still. Let's see what happens if we're letting it blend in a little bit. There you go. Yeah, that would be better. Around this edge, let's go for some darker brown here too. And let's create some edges here too with this liner. That looks good. Create a little bit of a texture in it. Good. Let's see here too. Where do I want the shadow? I want the shadow under here, under there, up there, up there. So that's good. Then around here too a little bit. Okay, let's move this. Well, let's try this first. I want some darker line under here, a darker line at the back, at the bottom here, at this bottom, and let's create some texture effect there. Now that looks a lot better right away. Let's try this. Move it to this one. I might go like this. Add some shadow there. Do the same on this one. Definitely do it here. Add shadow line under here. Good. And one there. Okay, dry it. There you go. Move to the bench. This one needs to be a little bit darker, some shadow under here. add a shadow line right there. A little bit of shadow here. And let's see. Some shadow under this one. Okay, let's dry that. Where's the dry thing? There it is. Okay, good. That's better then. And then under here, bottom, let's add some around there too. Good. Dry this, and now this should look a lot better. Let's hide our sketch. Take a look at it. See, that looks way better. Now we're going to work at those lights. Those lights are not at the top where these bushes are, but just under it. So above this, yeah, under the bushes. So on top of this layer, I want to add a new layer. I'm going to pick a very dark blue color here. This is a nice purplish dark color. I want to pause. I don't want this to go everywhere. I'd like to see a sketch, please. Thank you. Let's see if what we take, a nice round brush. Is this the color I want, or is this too purple? Probably. I want to test some of these colors. Here's another dark. I might go with that. That would work. What's the one next to it? That would work too, but what about this one? And that's the one I want. Good. I'm going for this very dark blue on the second row from the bottom, pretty much in the middle. Let's see. Starting at the top. Why not? Just with the round brush. Painting. This is very dark blue. Top of the light. That is too much. Undo. Let's see. Smaller brush. 10 or 8. To bring in these lines. 8 is good. Good. So while I have this small brush, I may as well add this part, paint that in. I can do this with a larger brush, but I want to do these two. I've got these lines. I might as well do this part too then. All right, good. And now I can do a larger brush again. 14, 16. Go for 14. And paint this light. There you go. The bottom. And now we can paint the first part of the pole. Let's do a second part on that. A nice dark one. Good. This side. Make that a little bit darker too. Okay. And now let's do the rest of the pole. Might go larger with this, huh? That's better. Give this a darker color too. Move this. Go nice and dark. And do this part. There you go. Good. And move it, and let's do this one. Nice and dark too. Good, there we go. I want it just a tone darker. Check that, yeah, that is quite dark. Oh, too far. All right, good. Now I just need this bit, the bottom. Not gonna do that with that very large brush. Okay. And there we go. Let's hide the sketch. And let's take a look at that. All right, nice. Now we only need light in it, so under it, I want to add a new layer. I'm going to take that yellow that's still here. I'm going to enlarge my brush a little bit. And I'm going to make this nice and yellow. Bit brighter. And do the other one too. There's a piece missing there. Right there. And there you go. Almost. Let's do a little bit more lighter. Some white through it is fine. Back to that one, picking that blue color again. Small brush, correcting that bit. Right, connecting this. Nice. That one. Is good. The sketch is gone. There you go. Let's check it. And there you go. Let me save this. Looking good. We're getting there. Yes, we're almost there. Two things. Snow, and we're going to need that one tree in front of everything. I'm going to do that tree first, and then we're going to do the snow. All right, the last bit, a layer above pretty much everything. There you go. Get back the sketch, zoom in, move this, and this is the only tree I need. I'm going with that dark brown color. I'm going to use the liner for this. Larger liner. I'm going to say the opacity is going to go on 100%. I'm still having the engine paused on purpose. Water is 50, size is 14. Let's give it a go. Yes, I like that. Oh, it doesn't go, it needs to go behind the grass, of course. Let's find that. Okay, moving it under the grass layer. This is the grass, it needs to go under there. Okay, the size is good, the color is good. And let's add the color. We're gonna go over it a few times or choose a darker color. I'm gonna go see if I can find a darker. There's a darker brown. Oh yeah, that's a better color. Good. We're gonna use this color somewhere under there. The third row is a nice darker brown color for this. Good. I need that sketch back a little stronger. There you go. Now I can see what I'm doing, where I'm supposed to go. See, now that is good. That is nice. Good. Bit darker. That's the whole idea. I could do it. You could do it even darker than this, but I'm okay with this. All right. The next thing we're going to do the snow. Actually, we're going to paint snow. To paint snow, what we're going to do is, let's see, we need a layer for the house. The roof, we need to find a layer behind on top of this, just on top of the walls. And that should be this one. Right, what is this? Oh, that is that, okay. We need to go above that too. Above the wood. This is even wood still. Right, above this layer. We're gonna go, so above the woodwork, the layer, we're gonna use, add some snow. For the snow, what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna unpause the engine. We're gonna take the filbert brush 2 it is, I think. Yes. Or a flat. No, we might take a flat. What is this? A flat? Yeah, a regular gouache flat. Let's try a flat. We're gonna add some blue, and we're gonna have the right blue color for this to get the idea of shadow on snow. I'm gonna try this, see if I have the right color. It needs to be pretty faint, so around 16 is good, not too much water. My size is 18, that's good. I think the opacity is 16 and the water is 22. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some snow like this. Yeah, that is the good color. The color is a bluish color. That color going towards the turquoise color, I think. And we're not actually adding snow, we're adding shadow. And by adding shadow to the snow, when I hide the sketch in a minute, let me do that. See, you're getting the idea of snow, and I can let this blend. That is fine. That may blend in and spread itself a little bit. And wherever these outlines are, that is where I'm going to add that snow. I'm going to do the same on here. And I'm making rough strokes. At the bottom here, I want some shadow too. So we're actually not painting snow, we're just adding the shadows, which makes things look like snow. A little bit there too, good. Maybe a bit more here. Okay, hide the sketch again. There you go. Connect this a little bit. And here we've got the idea of snow. All right, I'm drying this. And we're going to add some splatters to it later on too, to get a bit more of the idea of snow. Right, now I'm going in here. I'm going to go lower brush, around 12. And I'm going to add some shadow right under there too. Under here, I'm going to add some shadow. Now here we need to do some work, definitely. All the snow is gone. So under here I'm going to add a little bit of shadow right there too. Now most of the snow is gone here too, so we're going to bring back our snow. What we're going to do first is add some shadow right there too while we're on it. Good. And we're going to use this a little bit as a shadow color. That would work fine. Down here too. Okay, dry this. Good. Let's see, we need to remove that, but once we remove that, the shadow is going to come back. Let's see, where is that? Do I have all my snow now? I'm not sure if I did it there. Okay, that's fine. I could erase everything, but what I'm going to do instead, on top of everything, I'm going to just add a new layer. And I'm going to paint in some snow. So I'm going to get myself a white color. Could go a little bit off-white. The flat brush, let me check. What do I want to keep this? Bring the sketch back. Yeah, I'm okay with this flat brush. There you go. What I may want to do is stop the engine now. Let's see, I want some here. I want some snow in between on these branches here. There you go. get the idea. There's some snow on here. Forgot that totally. So we're adding our snow back. Let's add some snow on here too. Some in here. Oh, that's too much perhaps. Oh, I think I'm okay. As if there is snow on the branches. Making it look interesting. There you go. Let's see, this is back. That is good. Okay, here. We need to bring back a little bit of snow down here. This is supposed to be snow too. Good. And this is supposed to be snow too, and not light. Good. Now I'm going back to that blue color. May add a little bit of, whoa, that is not the shadow. Some snow shadow here. All right, let's see. Got that here, under here. Bit more. Bit under there. Bit there. We might need some snow first here. There you go. Add the snow. Add a little bit of the shadow. All right, good. Same I'm going to do here. I'm going to add just a little bit of snow under here. Making it look more like that it has actually snowed. Here too against the pole a little bit. There you go, good. A little bit more there. Bit there. Good, I'm going to do that here too. Add some snow on top of this. There you go. And we can add a little bit of snow right there too. Here's some snow. Let's do that here too then. Okay, good. And right there. Keep in mind the bushes are in front of it, so don't go over the bushes. And we may add a little bit of snow here too. All right. Let's hide the cabin sketch. That is good. All right, now we're going to look at it. There you go, good. See, and that looks better with the snow down there. Now it looks more real. Let's see, around here. We're going to do the same too. Add some snow in there. Get a little bit of snow right there too. Here too. Okay, good. The tree. We might do some snow on the tree, why not? But go larger. And add some snow on top of the tree. There you go. And on this one, that brings out the tree even more. There you go. Do that on this one too. There we go. I want to see this in total. There you go. We're going to add some snow here too. And what we're going to do next is at some of these branches, we're just going to add some snow like this. On here, a little bit like this. This one may need some on some of those branches too. There you go. And on this one then, of course, too. I might go slightly lower for this. I'm now at 40%. And there you go. Just adding some snow. And I might add slightly more right there. See, and now you're getting the idea. That there is some snow on the branches, making it interesting. We're going to do the same to the mountains. I'm going to add a little bit of snow here. And I might go lower again. Let's see if I want this too. And then we're creating these mountains back again here. Then we need some snow on this one too. There you go, that's good. Now I changed the size, don't want that. So on the edge of the mountains, adding some snow, and on some of the peaks, I'm adding some snow too. Okay, we're still having the engine paused, good. I'd add some snow there. Now let's take a look at that, see, and that looks a lot better. Okay, what we're going to do is add some snow to the moon. Not really snow, but a little bit of light effect. A bit stronger than we have it. There you go. That looks a lot better. Okay, now let's add on top carefully a little bit more snow. I'm hardly pressing again. And let's check. I think I might actually be done, except for one bit. Let's see, the rest is snow. This is good. We might add some snow on here. On top of these. See, that gives a nice contrast. Snow on there, good. Same here. Let's add a little bit of contrast. The rest has a little bit of contrast. Might add a little bit there. Good. Right, I think we're almost there, except we need some snow on the roof. We're going to bring in a texture on the roof. I want to have some snow there still. There you go. That looks good. And now we're having a nice painting. Now it's getting somewhere. Well, it's getting somewhere. We're almost done. We want to have some snow on here too. Small. Zoom in. Just add just some snow on the steps. Oh, I like that a lot better. I might go very small, perhaps add a little bit of snow there too. Right. Okay, and I think we might be very close to the end. Adding snow, we're going to use some splatters for this. Let's dry everything first, if that is going to work. Now I can put the engine on. Add some splatters here, let's see, or some granulation. Oh, that's a good question. Splatters or granulation? Let's go granulation too. Let's go for blue and let's see what happens with this. I might take a new layer for this under the snow. I think I did a copy layer. Oh, I don't want that. Oh wait, I need a new layer. The last layer, let's see. I've got granulation on. Let's see what if this is bringing in. Yeah, that would be a great effect, but way too much. Way too much clear. All right, so we need the opacity down as much as we can. We may add some water to it. Let's see what happens. I've got it on 30% size. I've got 6% opacity. I've got 44 water. Around this edge, that brings in beautiful snow here too. Good. Yep, that is good. Very carefully around that edge a little bit, at the back here too. Now that is good. I'm gonna make sure I dry this. The next thing which I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some shadow on top of here. See, to make that look a lot better like that. I like it. Let's try it right away. And now we just need some random snow here. I'm going to use some splatters for that most likely. Yeah, let's do splatter 4. Let's give it a try. If I do this, probably it's going to be very blue. Oh, that's not too bad. Opacity all the way down to the size I've got on 70%, around 70%, 25 water, the opacity 27. Ooh, that is way too much. I need to press really lightly. That is good. You may hardly see it. Don't press too hard, just some splatters. Okay, I'm gonna let these splatters work a little bit and blend in a little bit. Let's find these mountains. Let's add a layer on top of it. Do a clipping mask. Oh, right click and let's say clipping mask. This should be above the mountains. Let's get a very dark blue. This blue. And what do we have? Let's go for the granulation. Let's add some really dark granulation in that snow water. Oh, it's not keeping up with this. Now it's struggling, the computer. Let it get some interesting things like this. A little bit here too. Good. I like that. That's good. Some texture in the mountains. Okay. Good. Here too. right there, bit there. Good. Let's dry this before it spreads everywhere. A bit of texture in it. I like that. That's good. Under it, I'm going to add a new layer. Make sure that is a clipping mask too, otherwise it doesn't clip on the right part. As you could see, that something changed here. I'm keeping that dark color. I'm going to splatter 4 back again to, no, let's do splatter 5. And let's add back here some really dark splatters. There you go. And now I think, oh, I'm still moving my canvas right there too. Right. I don't want it there. Hang on. I gotta lower the size. I do want it there just a little bit. Just bringing in a little bit of contrast. Yes, I do like that. That is better. Perhaps around there too. Good. And I think we're fine with this. These splatters are, I'm okay with those, I think. Yeah, okay. Let's dry this. And I think I'm gonna call this done. And there you have it, our winter cabin. Our winter cabin gouache painting in Rebelle 6 is ready. I want to stop here. Yes, we can keep on going with this, but I'm really gonna stop here. It's getting dark already outside, so it's really time to stop this video. I think it has gone long enough by now, and we've got a nice scene. That takes some time to create a scene, but if you spend that time in Rebelle, you can create something really beautiful. Now we're gonna make one remark. At some point in the painting, you may have noticed it, that somehow the painting looks ugly. It doesn't look good. And that's when a lot of people give up. They'll say, oh my goodness, I ruined my painting. And I had to at one stage thought, this is looking not as good as I wanted to look. But I know that if I keep on going, it will look beautiful in the end, because you can add more layers, correct some things, in Rebelle erase things which you don't like, add new things to it, play with these layers, and that is just great. The one thing what we could have still done was add another layer, an overlay layer, and play a little bit with light, add some light points. But most of the light I brought in with the painting already, so I'm not gonna actually do that with this painting. A lot of times I do that, add an overlay and play with light a little bit, but since it's in the painting already, I think I'm pretty much fine with how it is. Thank you for being with me in this lesson. I really enjoyed creating this painting in Rebelle, and I hope you picked up some skills and enjoyed it too. And if you create this painting, I would love to see it, so tag me somewhere and show it. Oh yeah, I really love to see what people make too when they follow my lessons. Well, that's it. Oh, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more. Hit that notification bell so that you get notified when I release something new. And I would say keep on painting.